93 tackles. More than anyone else in this division. Tone Geiselhardt was 20 years old when he made them. He has already been sold to Deportivo La Coruña. He is not the exception here. He is the pattern. 8 of the 10 best value players in this division were 21 or younger. 3 of those 10 have already been sold, one of them to Stuttgart. This is the second tier of Dutch football, and its product is not a trophy. It is players. This preview is about the ones who are still here. ADO Den Haag won it, and it was not close. 89 points, 90 goals scored, 37 conceded. Cambuur finished on 78, Willem II on 68. Those 3 went up. Behind them, the table compresses fast. De Graafschap took 63, and by 7th place you are at 56. That 7th place matters more than it looks, because the club that took it cannot be promoted at all. Jong PSV U21 finished 7th. That is PSV's under-21 side, and it finished above 13 clubs over 38 games, 10 of them senior professional sides. There are 4 of these teams in the division: Jong PSV U21, Jong Utrecht, Jong AZ, and Jong Ajax. They cannot be promoted and they cannot be relegated. They exist so that young players get 38 competitive games instead of a reserve league. If you want to know why Dutch football keeps producing, that rule is a large part of the answer. This is a division that scores 3.19 goals a game. ADO Den Haag scored 90, but Almere City FC scored 78 and finished 5th. Cambuur 75, De Graafschap 74, Waalwijk 71. Jong PSV U21 scored 66 with a squad of teenagers. Nobody here defends for a draw, and that is exactly the environment in which a young attacker gets to find out what he is. The other end is brutal. MVV scored 41 and conceded 73. Jong Ajax finished last on 35 points, also conceding 73. Jong AZ conceded 76, more than anyone. Helmond Sport conceded 62 and scored 42, which is the lowest attack outside the bottom 2. For a scout, those defences are not a warning. They are 38 games of evidence about which young defenders can actually cope. One row does not add up, and it is worth saying out loud. Vitesse won 15 games and drew 11. Add those up, and you get 56 points of results, more than the club that finished 8th. The division recorded Vitesse on 44 points in 15th. Our data holds both numbers, and the gap between them is not a football result. Whatever you make of it, the squad played better than the position says, and that is a scouting note. Expected goals tells you who was getting into the right places. Romano Postema led it with 23.37 and scored 24, which is as close to par as it gets. Devin Hayen generated 19.73 and scored 18. Ruven Niemeyer generated 19.39 and scored 19. The interesting one is Julian Rijkhoff. He generated 12.74 expected goals and scored 16. At 20 years old, that is either finishing quality or a season that will not repeat, and next year tells us which. Creation was even more lopsided. Nick Dudeman produced 17 assists and 20.9 expected assists, which is the highest in the division by a margin of more than 10. Mark Diemers had 12 assists. So did Kevin Monzialo Bocolo. Adam Tahawi at 20 had 10 assists and 9.05 expected assists from Vitesse. 2 of those 4 have already left the division. One of them, as we will see, did not go far. Here is the number that defines this league. The 3 players who made the most tackles were 20, 18 and 20 years old. Teun Geiselhardt 93, Len Min Quangtran 83, Mays Laros 80. Martelencio Esajas at 23 also made 80 and added 57 interceptions. In most divisions, the tackle chart is a list of 29-year-olds. Here it is a list of players who have not signed a second professional contract yet. Now the summer. 25 players in, 23 out across the 16 clubs that have a transfer record, and we read each of those clubs' own feeds rather than guessing from squad lists. The other 4 are reserve sides with no transfer feed at all, and I will come back to them. Dordrecht, Emmen, VVV Venlo and Waalwijk each signed 3, and nobody signed more. One number to keep in mind. These counts are distinct players, and they exclude contract extensions, youth promotions and loan returns. FC Volendam came down from the Eerste Divisie and were taken apart. 4 players out, 2 in. Kane van Overen went to Ipswich Town, and that is the largest fee in this window by some distance. Robin van Kruisen went to Sparta Rotterdam, Gibson Jaar to Bristol City, Aurelio Olas to Luzern. In return, they took Nick Dudeman on a free transfer, the man who just produced 17 assists in this division. That is a relegated club shopping in exactly the right place. Waalwijk is the clearest example of the thesis. Tim van der Leij, 19 years old, 13 goals, went to VfB Stuttgart. He had the highest expected goals per 90 minutes in the division. Waalwijk replaced him with Jesse van der Haar from FC Utrecht, took Jordi de Wijs on a free and borrowed a goalkeeper. 3 out, 3 in, and a teenager converted into a Bundesliga fee. That is the business model working exactly as intended. De Graafschap finished 4th and then lost both of the players this video opened with. Teun Gijselhart to Deportivo La Coruña, Ibrahim El Kadiri to Darmstadt. One was the division's leading tackler, the other was second for dribbles completed with 65. 1 in, 2 out. They signed Julian Kania back from Arminia Bielefeld. A club that finishes 4th and sells its 2 best young players is not badly run. It is running the only model available to it. VVV Venlo did the opposite, and they are the club to watch because of it. 3 signings, 0 out. A goalkeeper from Sparta Rotterdam, a striker from Toulouse, a midfielder from Fortuna Sittard on a free. Venlo finished 13th on 45 points, and only 3 clubs scored fewer than their 50. They kept Lars de Blok, who at 21 produced 8.63 expected assists, 4th in the division. This is a squad being added to rather than sold from. Heracles and NAC Breda came down with Volendam. Heracles lost Remco Pasveer to FC Twente, Ivan Mesik to Charlton Athletic, and Jan Zamborek to ADO Den Haag, and signed Walid Ul-Chik and Max Hausworth. NAC Breda sold Daniel Bielicha to Portsmouth, and lost Boy Kemper to Queen's Park Rangers, signing Paul Gladden. Both are net negative on bodies. Relegation in the Netherlands does not come with a war chest. All 20 clubs, both directions, on one screen. Dordrecht, Emmen, VVV Venlo and Waalwijk on 3. Roda and Emmen and Venlo took nobody out at all. Den Bosch, MVV and Vitesse each lost 1 and signed nobody. Helmond Sport did not move in either direction, and 4 rows carry a dash instead of a 0. Jong Ajax, Jong AZ, Jong PSV U21 and Jong Utrecht are reserve sides whose players are contracted to the parent club, so there is no transfer list to read. A dash means we do not know. It does not mean nothing happened, and I would rather show you the difference than quietly print a 0. Len Min Quang Tran, 18 years old, Belgian, centre-back at MVV. He played 2,384 minutes in a side that conceded 73 goals, and only one club in the division conceded more. He made 83 tackles, 92nd percentile, 87th for blocked shots, 84th for dribbles completed. That last one is unusual for a defender who was 18. His passing percentiles are low, and that is the honest part of the profile. This is a defender who wins the ball and does not yet build with it. Don O'Neill, 19, at Jong Ajax. He completed 62 dribbles, 3rd in the whole division, and only 2 players beat him. 85th percentile for dribbles, 75th for shots on target, and 8 goals with 5 assists in 283 minutes. He plays for the team that finished last, so every one of those numbers was produced in a losing side. That is a harder test than it looks, and it is why reserve team football is worth watching. And this is the shape that gets bought. Ibrahim El Kadiri, 23, sold to Darmstadt. 97th percentile for expected assists, 96th for dribbles completed, 92nd for key passes, 90th for shots. 4 elite creative percentiles in the same player, produced in only 1894 minutes. If you want a template for what a Bundesliga club looks for in this division, this radar is it. And you can compare any Eerste Divisie player against it for free. So who is actually still here? Julian Reekhoff, 20, at Almere City FC, 16 goals from 12.74 expected. Jesper Uniken, 21, at Waalwijk, 14 goals. Lars de Blok, 21, at VVV Venlo, 8.63 expected assists. Maes Laros, 20, at Den Bosch, 80 tackles. Marcelencio Isaias, 23, at FC OSS, 80 tackles and 57 interceptions. 5 players, 5 clubs outside the top 3, and every one of them checked against their club's own transfer record this week. The division swaps 3 clubs each way, and the direction matters. FC Volendam, Heracles and NAC Breda have come down from the Eredivisie. ADO Den Haag, Cambuur and Willem II have gone up. That second list is where the goals went. ADO Den Haag scored 90 and Cambuur 75, the best attack in the division and the third best, promoted in the same year. Whoever leads the scoring charts this season will be doing it in a league that just lost its top 3 attacks. So what wins it? ADO Den Haag needed 89 points, and the 3 clubs who finished 4th, 5th and 6th were on 63 and 58 and 58. Closing that is 26 points, which over 38 games is 13 draws turned into wins. No club in this division signed more than 3 players. On the evidence of this window, nobody has bought their way to that gap, and it is far more likely to be closed by whoever is 19 now. It starts on Friday. Vitesse host Waalwijk, and that is the anomaly against the club that just sold a striker to Stuttgart. VVV Venlo host Heracles. 3 signings and nobody out, against a club that just came down. Dordrecht host Jong Ajax. Helmond Sport host de Graafschap. Jong PSV U24 host FC Volendam on the Monday, which is a reserve team against a side that was in the Eredivisie in May. What would change my mind? If the reserve sides had a transfer feed, 4 of the 20 clubs would stop being a dash on that grid, and some of my window reading could move. If Vitesse's points and results reconcile in a way I have not accounted for, the 15th place note goes. And this is a division that trades all summer. Every count here was true on the day it was pulled, and the window does not shut until September. Every number here is on the site, free for 51 leagues. Percentile radars, expected goals, and every club's window checked club by club. If you follow one of these 20 sides and think I have read your summer wrong, tell me which club and I will look again.